Let's solve some of the important questions from West Bengal SET examination paper 1, which was held recently. So the first question is an interesting question. It talks about few people located in different parts of the world and they are meeting or interacting through a video conference. Now what kind of communication this would be? Since they are a group of people, definitely it is a part of group communication. But an important thing to note here is this is not a physical group communication, it is through a video conferencing. That means there has to be a mediation, and this is therefore a kind of mediated communication. So this is an example of group mediated communication. So 3 becomes the right answer in this case. Let's talk about another question. Now ISBN, International Standard Book Number, is a number which you see on most of the books, the backside of it. Till 2007, it was a 10-digit number. After 2007, this has now become a 13-digit number. The prefix is now 978. Now, when the 978 series got exhausted, it started with 979 series. Now, this is an example of an ISBN 10 which is given here. The last digits is a check digit. Now, how do we calculate check digit? We have covered in our complete video course available on Doorstep Tutor. The next is again the types of literature review, a very important question for your NET examination perspective. The various types of literature review we have covered separately on the complete lecture course, the link below. The idea here is the question asks specifically about narrative literature. Now, narrative literature review and systematic literature review are two important types of it. Narrative is usually a broad research area where you gather, summarize the various journals, articles, and identify the potential gaps which exist in the literature as of now, based on which you can lay down the foundations for your own research. However, when we talk about a systematic literature review, in that case you have a specific term, a specific inclusion-exclusion criteria which is part of that systematic literature review. Besides that, there is also theoretical literature review, meta-synthesis, meta-analysis, scoping, which we have covered in the various types of literature review class. The next is rhetoric, is a term which was given by Aristotle. Now, this term rhetoric, the idea given by Aristotle was to understand the difference between rhetoric versus dialectic. Dialectic is one-on-one communication. However, rhetoric is one person persuading many other people, and therefore here the idea under a rhetoric communication is to demonstrate the truth. However, under dialectic, when you are talking about talking one-to-one, you are searching for a truth profile, and that's the main thing. The rhetoric of Aristotle is a very important concept. The 3 rhetorical proofs, the logos, ethos, and the pathos, we have covered again in a separate lecture in the video course, so refer that. This is again a very interesting question. Here the question says the per capita income GDP is high. That means the growth indicators are high. But on the other hand, if we talk about undernourishment, mortality, literacy, those retain very poor figures. That means the development figures are poor. It indicates a growth without development. Very, very important to note. Now, this is an example of growth, but that growth is actually in numbers, not in terms of development, where we talk about better health, education, and other facilities. The next is constructivism. Constructivism is a kind of learning approach where learner is considered as an active person who is actively engaged, and actually any new learning is built up on the prior learning is the basic idea. Learning is considered as an active process and all learning being meaningful. So it is highly learner-centered, student-focused. The next is Google Expeditions is one of the innovative tools that actually take students to virtual tours and field trips. There are more than 500 different expeditions which are preloaded in the Google Cardboard, between which you have the Google Expedition virtual device, and this device is actually a tool that helps you understand the panoramic scenes, the virtual tours of the area. Machu Picchu, for example, is one such location which has been given there. So it has two modes. One is the guide, which is the teacher mode. The other is the explorer or the student mode. The next is two types of evaluation that we have already covered in our basics on evaluation, which is summative and formative. Formative is an ongoing process. So every month the test goes on and then students are given the feedback. There is a constant learning process. Summative is towards the end. You finally say this is what your percentage is and this is how you have performed in the exam. So it's not a continuous ongoing monitoring system under summative, and therefore this question, the correct answer is formative, because it talks about a constant learning process. The last question for today is a question which talks about blended learning. A special kind of blended learning, which is known as flipped learning, is a learning where students read the material at home, come back to the classroom and appear for test, appear for live quizzes, do the problem solving activities. And this is a classic example of flipped classrooms. So those are some of the tricky and important questions from West Bengal set, which was recently held. The questions on mathematics were relatively easy. Reading comprehension DI, again average in difficulty, but this was some of the different questions that are really important for you, also important in light of the coming NET examination. So prepare these kind of questions very well. Based on this, we have covered some extra classes in our complete video course. So you can just go to the video course and check out the content, the list of the topics that we have already covered there. Wish you very good luck. Have a wonderful day ahead.